Hello, everybody, to your friendly neighborhood INFP, and welcome back to today's episode, where we are going to talk about how to befriend an INFP. Before, I have talked about how easy it is to make friends with an INFP, and the answer is not easy. In fact, it's kind of hard. But this is how to, if you want to befriend an INFP, these are just some of the ways to go about it. Because a lot of people, from what I see as common sense, may not be the common sense of others. So I'm going to give my best perspective of this to see what comes out of it. So, befriending an INFP requires, first and foremost, before anything else, it requires patience. A lot of patience. It's not something that, like, oh, we've, been doing stuff for a few months, we must be friends now. In fact, it may take over a year to befriend an INFP, depending on how much effort and time you've put into it. It can take shorter, it can take longer. It really just depends on honestly you and how much effort you're willing to put into that relationship. It's not like the INFP is not going to reciprocate the attention, the effort, and all that, because we will. It's like one of our biggest things that, oh, you're giving this to us, well, let us give you all of this. And it continually happens. You give us a little, we give you a lot. It's just because things for us tend to boil over, and we want to be your friend, but we are also consistently testing you, whether it be via consciously or subconsciously. We're always watching you, we're always studying you, we're always learning, and we're always growing. And this is what makes it hard for you to befriend an INFP in the first place. So this is why it requires time and effort, and the more you put in, the faster results you will get with an INFP. Now, granted, that result will not happen in a week, it will not happen in a month, but it will happen within a year's time period, and you'll probably reach the level of base friend with them. If you want to get into true friends or best friends with an INFP, that will take years. And once again requires time and effort. So the other thing that goes into it is loyalty. The loyalty you show us is very important. If you are the person who has no issues abandoning us, if you're the type of person who doesn't keep their promises, if you're the type of person that goes around and thinks very little of us, chances are is like, yeah, we're probably going to hang out with you because, we might see like some potential or whatever there, but you're probably in the long run's not going to get us to become a true friend. Maybe a close acquaintance at best, but if you are not loyal, don't expect an INFP to be hanging around for a long time, because loyalty is a huge deal for us, and it matters just as much as it does in friendship as it does in other relationships. And if that trust and loyalty is broken, then, well, you kind of screwed the pooch, and you might have to spend a little bit more time trying to gain the good graces of the INFP again. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, but this goes for like a bunch of other types. And like, okay, yeah, sure. But INFPs are one of the most notoriously difficult, slightly high standard friends you can make. And I'm not talking high standards in the sense of, oh, we want this or we want that, we want this item or we want that item, and we want you to cater to our every need. No. I'm talking high standards in what we require of you, in almost a morality and value type situation that is where our standards will be. Continuing on from there, you need to don't belittle us. If you want us to become your friend, do not belittle us. Do not be condescending towards us. Do not think lowly of us. Do not ignore us. That'll be a next thing right after. Do not look down on us, essentially, is what I'm trying to get at. Very, very bad ways of trying to get us to be your friend. Things you should do is spend time with the INFP, help them break out of their shell, help them, I guess, be noticed is the best way I can put it. Like, just INFPs have this thing where we easily can disappear if you're not paying attention. Like, we have if we see the friendship going nowhere, if much time is not placed on us, a lot of the time with a lot of INFPs, it's not all the time, but like a lot of us have had issues in the past that make it a little bit more difficult for us to befriend or be around people, whether it's trust or other related issues. And if you continually spend more time with other people than you do with an INFP, eventually we will have faded away and you won't even have known when that happened. Like, you'll know that we were around at some point. You'll know that you probably had a good time with us. You'll know that we were probably very chill. You knew that you could talk to us about anything. But then somewhere down the line, we just completely vanished and you don't know how or why, and that is very likely because your attention towards us has dwindled. It's not that I'm saying we require all of your attention, but if it's to that level of us being consistently ignored for whatever reason, maybe, the other friends are more extroverted, or maybe, you've gotten really busy in life, or maybe some other circumstances have happened, or maybe you're not really interested in them. They're just kind of like fun to hang around, but like, okay, that must mean we're friends. I'll hang out with them whenever. You'll come to notice very quickly that we have faded away like the wind. We have been carried by the wind and we're gone. So that is a huge, huge deal, is to, when we're around, to not belittle and to kind of pay attention to us when we speak or when we want to have our opinions heard. It is a interesting thing for INFPs because we are introverted, yet we also want that time and attention from you, especially if you're someone who's going to be considered a friend. We will want that time and attention, and we are almost extraordinarily possessive of it. Should we be? Probably not, but we are. Because we value it so much, we try and hold on to it very tightly. Especially if it's given to us. And if it's not, like, if things aren't done in the proper manner, things can get like really easy to screw up. So that is a very important lesson, is that we can be very possessive of our friendships, not in like a weird stalkerish kind of way, but like we will defend you to the death, and if anyone insults you, so help us, we will end them type of way. That level of possession. You are our friend. You are someone who is dear to us. You are someone we like have put into our value system. And so help you if you do anything to ruin that. Or insult them or whatever. Like, we are we care a lot, even though we may not appear to care a lot. And we won't say any of these things out loud. And more advice, do not ask us to say any of these things out loud. Just let us slowly get there. If we say the stuff, let us say it. If we don't, let it be. Just know that if we start distancing ourselves, there is something wrong in the relationship that needs to be fixed, and you need to talk to us about it. It is either going to be on us or it's going to be on you, but we are not going to instigate it. If you notice a distancing of that relationship, of where we're starting to withdraw, there is a problem that needs to almost immediately be addressed. And if it's not, you will lose, like, any effort, time, whatever you put into it will be gone. So something important to keep in mind. Furthermore, besides all that, we are, when it comes to love languages, I should say, quality time is a big one. We like we like being around and like spending quality time with you. For some of us INFPs, it's going to be gift giving. For some of us, actually not a lot of us will be big into the whole physical touch thing. In fact, we're going to be quite adverse for it. The reason for that is physical touch for us is reserved mostly for those we hold at the highest of intimacy. So basically, maybe a best friend, although that won't always be the case, or more than likely, your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, or husband will be that person where we will be about that physical touch. And even then, it's not always guaranteed, but we will give it more readily to them than we will to you. So, it's not going to be like a deal breaker if you're like constantly huggy and all of that, but we will feel extraordinarily uncomfortable because of how much of an intimate thing we value it and view it to be. It's a little weird. Not all INFPs are like that. I know I'm one of the INFPs who is like that. And while I do crave hugs and cuddles and all of that, I don't just let anyone do it. It's like, if you're not going to kiss everyone, you shouldn't hug everyone. It's that kind of intimacy. And I would feel very uncomfortable in countries where they do give kisses as greetings. It is a extraordinarily intimate, close, physical thing that we value highly. So if you don't want your INFP to feel super uncomfortable, there's that. Then the last thing, or one of the last things, is us as INFPs, we need to feel comfortable with you. We need to feel like we can tell you anything. We need to feel like no matter what we do, say, or are, you won't judge us for it. You will accept us for who we are. You won't try and change us, except for maybe help us get better at certain things. We won't reject that. And despite, people saying that INFPs can't handle criticism well, it's not so much the criticism as it is the non-constructive criticism that we don't handle well. If you come up to us and be like, hey, you're kind of sucking at this, but here's how to be better at it, we will be more ready to listen to that, even though it might sting a little, than say somebody who's like, oh, well, you suck, right? So don't do that. But back to my point of feeling comfortable, that is one of the ways to make us not feel comfortable, so don't do that. The idea is you're trying to, in the best way I can put it, you're trying to make us feel like you're part of home, you're part of family, you're part of, in some way, shape, or form, us, that we can be what we want to be in front of you, with you, by you, if we feel that we have to hide everything from you, like if it's like a gift or whatever that has to be a surprise, that's a different story. But if we constantly feel that we have to hide our deepest secrets, our deepest worries, everything, and that we have to constantly have walls up and watch you, and like there's always that kind of barrier there that it never breaks through, that means we're not comfortable with you. And that probably means that we're not going to get to that closest level of friend place. And not everybody is going to become BFFs with INFPs. INFPs will only ever become friends with like true friends with maybe 5 people max. And most of the time, we'd rather it be like 1 or 2 people that we can hang out with. Do we want more friends than that? Sure, but we do want that like initial close. These are who I consider my dearest friends, and those will be the ones we will be around the most. As such, if you want to date an INFP, you need to get to that level of friendship at one point or another if you want to like marry one or whatever. Some of it might be instigated by an INFP depending on how shy they are. And we will spend a great deal of time getting to know you and all of that. But relationships aside, getting into that core group of friends and intimate partners and all of that is going to require a level of comfort that feels like home, is the best way I can put that idiom. Like, you need to make us feel like home, almost that level of comfort, and that may be due to our tertiary function. I don't know. It may be due to our first and turret function. I don't know. And lastly, going inside with us feeling like we belong and are comfortable and all that. You also need to remember that we are very weird, very random, very opinionated, and can say and be many different things unexpectedly, and are quite often very big contradictions, and that's okay. But as soon as you reject that part of us, we will not go any further in that whole friendship thing. You may be a shallow friend, you may be a friend of the first tier, or third tier, whichever. You like place the tiers of friendship. If it's if first is highest for you, then you'd be third tier. But if third is highest for you, then you'd be first tier. It essentially is you're like the bottom of the barrel, almost, only slightly above close acquaintances as friends go. So yeah, acceptance is a big deal, and that includes knowing that we are weird, we are contradictions, and sometimes can be very volatile, even though most of the time we appear to be calm and collected and, doing all right. So yeah, I think that should explain a good portion of the time that you would need to go through to get an INFP to truly become your friend. And a lot of it, like I said, is going to be time and effort. But remember, it's not like we're going to be sitting around doing nothing. We are going to be putting in as much, if not more, effort into the friendship than you are. Because we want it. We will want that friendship. But we're also seeing, are you going to spend the same amount of time and effort on us that we spend on you? And if you don't, then there's going to be like a bit of a disconnect. Because I honestly feel an INFP would be the type of person who would love to have friends break into their house, close friends, mind you, break into their house, drag them out for, a fun time. Now, the fun time doesn't necessarily have to be going out to a party. It could be like going out on whatever you guys consider fun. Games, movies, parks, hikes, whatever, travel, whatever you guys enjoy doing. to just like come in and be like, you're coming with us, and then like dragging them out. Usually we're up for that kind of randomness, although usually we'll also want a bit of a warning, especially if we're in the middle of doing something. But if you know we're not doing anything, and if you heard we're kind of bored or whatever, and we've been sending out the signals that we kind of want to do something, then yeah, that's usually permission for you to break in and be like, hey, let's go. And we'll usually take it. So, with that being said, if there are any questions as to what more there is to be said about befriending an INFP, let me know in the comments below. And I think I've pretty much summed up everything, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.